My question is about the, we're currently ahead of our 2015 goals for renewable energy, but we're facing severe problems in reaching our 2030 goals. When do we start falling behind? I mean, I think there may be a lot of excitement in regards to hitting or being ahead of our 2015 goals, but I haven't talked to anybody who knows yet how we're going to hit our 2030 goals. They don't even know.
Okay. So to answer your question, yes, we are, what we have in place today is will exceed the 2015 goal. The next milestone is the 2020 at 25%. And based on the report that the PUC did, you know, there's a reasonable probability that we'll exceed or meet that or potentially exceed that. But there's a lot of unknowns. You know, for example, a project in your district, you know, may or may not be, you know, a key aspect of whether we accomplish that. Now, as we move to 2030, as Mr. Ono said, you know, as we go further up the ladder, things get more challenging technically. And there's always solutions. The solutions potentially get more expensive, and so that's the trade-off we have. That's the balance we have to do.
And 2030, well, because this is, I mean, you have the problems with even reaching, was it the 2020 goals? I mean, you're sticking windmills in communities that don't want them there. You know, the British have already banned any use of windmills in any further building of windmills in their country because of the impact that windmills have had. And you have a bunch of people that are ready out in Kahuku to burn those things down if it comes to that. And so there hasn't been any consulting. I mean, we've seen the reaction from a bunch of these communities where these windmills are going to go into. We've seen it in Lanai, we've seen it in Molokai, and you're seeing it over in Kahuku. So I think, you know, we sit here in this room and set these awesome objectives, and we haven't talked to anybody in the communities that are going to be directly impacted by these projects. And so, you know, I mean, are you counting on those projects going into Kahuku?
In the report that we submitted to the legislature, we looked at a number of projects that were on the table and didn't say yes or no to any one project, but looked at, you know, on average, if a certain percentage of all the potential projects were to be completed, you know, what would the outcome be? And the outcome would be for 2020 that we would be able to exceed. But as we laid out in our report to the legislature, you know, citing of projects is a major issue with respect to us being able to increase our penetration of renewables. I mean, that's a fact. We don't have a vast amount of land area, and so as a result, you know, we have to deal with that reality.
Okay, appreciate it. For as far as Blue Planet goes, have you guys? I remember last year, Blue Planet said that the cost of getting into renewables, I mean, it doesn't matter what the cost as far as in terms. The testimony was that Blue Planet was in favor of the barrel tax going up to $7 a barrel.
We'd be happy with that. We'd be happy with $10 a barrel.
$10, right. And so what I'm saying is it doesn't matter to as far as Blue Planet is concerned, it doesn't matter what the cost is to the community. I mean, we're going to set these goals, and if we have to plow poor communities under to achieve those goals, we're going to go ahead and do that.
Well, I don't think that's a fair assessment. I mean, I think we're looking at the lowest cost energy future, and that is renewables. And for every large wind
is it project, the low?
It certainly is. And every large, you know, wind project that might have opposition, we have some 4% of our energy now.
It's not a might have opposition. There is very clear and very strong opposition. You know, and my community doesn't appreciate, right? Where do you live, sir?
Yeah, I live in Minoan, and I fully appreciate that. And
right.
There's some places where it doesn't belong, and we agree with that. But I'm suggesting that 4% of our energy comes from, you know, rooftop solar. And here are individuals who are very happy. They're willing to lay out their own cash to put on their rooftops. So that, you know, for some projects that have community opposition, there's certainly projects that have a lot of desire. And I think it's part of the process. If a community is going to say absolutely not, we're not going to push it. You know, that's fine. But I think
but when we mandate it like this, This is pushing it. You're saying we're not going to push it. This is this is painting ourselves into a corner and saying we're going to do this. And it doesn't matter what you have to say, is that we have put ourselves in a box and this is going to happen.
And I think that's a really big box where we can choose what the technology
It's not.
is.
This is the island of Oahu is not a big box.
We
And
have,
when you-
we have a
and
lot
when-
of options in 3.5.
And when you have these windmills that you have to wake up and look at every single morning, this is what I'm saying. We're not going to put ourselves this. I have a problem with this bill because this is what's going to force communities to accept things that they haven't been consulted on. And this is making these assumptions that, like the POC just stated, that we're going to have these projects move forward. And it doesn't matter what the little guys over in Kahuku have to say because these are going to happen. And the reason why that happens is because we do things like this. Is because we've mandated that these projects happen, because we've mandated that renewable energy goals be hit by these timeframes. And I have a serious problem with that because I have a bunch of farmers and just local everyday guys who woke up one morning and had these things staring them in the face, and nobody talked to them about it. And so here we are saying we're going to do 100% renewable by 2050, and we're looking at passing this measure here, and not any of those communities and the details of the ramifications of these impacts haven't been vetted or discussed, and I have a serious problem with that.
Again, I think each project is going to go through a process, and if the community is opposed, that will come out. So this isn't mandating any particular project.
But it's mandating the goals.
It is mandating the goals. Because for all this, there's trade-offs. If we don't do this, we're going to be burning fossil fuel, and that comes with clear impacts to communities and people, not only in Hawaii, but around the world.
And so we're going to put this in, and then we're going to skewer HECO and PUC for not hitting these goals when they're facing revolts in the communities where these projects are going to go into. And they're the ones who are going to fry for this.
For all of these, there are off-ramps. Every year, you guys can revisit the statute. The PUC gives recommendations. We're not on target. So I think there's a lot of off-ramps in case of that, unfortunate, if we really get there.
Well, then let's go with the recommendations first before we pass legislation that mandates these things. So maybe we can see this in the form of a resolution to maybe consult the communities first and take a look at these things maybe in greater detail, given what's been happening in these communities as of late.
Again, we just say with every project, it's going to go through a process. This just sets the vision.